Smash the subscribe button, hit like if you're ready to go somewhere dark, and drop a comment if you think you can solve this before the detectives do. Because this story doesn't just ask questions, it dares you to answer them. Red and blue lights tore through the quiet Los Angeles hillside like open wounds. Patrol cars choked the narrow street, engines idling, radios hissing with clipped urgency. Inside the gated home, two bodies lay where a life of Hollywood privilege had ended in silence. By the time homicide arrived, the house already felt wrong. Too neat, too calm, as if the walls themselves were holding their breath. Rob Reiner, legendary filmmaker, his wife, Michele, both discovered in their own home. No signs of forced entry, no obvious robbery, just a crime scene that refused to explain itself. Detective Elena Morales stood in the living room, eyes scanning family photos lining the shelves, smiling faces frozen in happier years. She had worked enough high-profile cases to know that fame didn't protect anyone. Sometimes it only sharpened the blade. Then came the detail that changed everything. Less than 12 hours earlier, Rob and Michele had attended a private holiday party hosted by Conan O'Brien, a glittering gathering of comedians, writers, and industry insiders. Laughter, champagne, Christmas lights glowing against polished glass. The kind of night people remembered for all the right reasons, until witnesses started talking. Multiple guests described a heated argument between Rob and his adult son, Nick. Voices raised, faces flushed, the kind of confrontation that makes conversation stop mid-sentence. One guest would later say Nick's behavior shifted the energy of the entire room, that he seemed agitated, unpredictable, like something was clawing its way out of him. By midnight, Rob and Michele left early. By morning, they were dead. Detectives moved fast. Phone records were pulled, security footage requested. Officers canvassed neighbors who reported nothing more than a quiet night and a darkened house. That silence became the loudest clue of all. Nick Reiner was located hours later. He was shaken, visibly distraught, insisting he hadn't seen his parents since the party. He acknowledged the argument, called it family stuff, blown out of proportion, but detectives had heard that line before, too many times. Morales reviewed the party timeline again. The argument wasn't just loud, it was emotional. Witnesses recalled Rob pointing, Nick pacing, Michele stepping between them. A private family fracture, suddenly public, and now deadly. Inside the house, crime scene techs uncovered something that didn't belong. A faint smear on the hallway wall, partially cleaned. Not enough to scream violence, but enough to whisper it. In the master bedroom, a locked door stood out. No sign of forced entry, yet it had been sealed from the outside. When officers finally broke it open, the room revealed more than a place to sleep. On the nightstand sat a phone, screen shattered, notifications frozen mid-alert. The last message hadn't been sent. It read, "If he comes back tonight, we're not safe." And in that moment, the case stopped being about what happened inside the house. It became about what followed them home from the party. By sunrise, the case swallowed the city. News vans camped outside the gate, helicopters hovered like vultures, and the name Reiner dominated every screen in America. Inside the LAPD Homicide Division, the mood was different. Tight, controlled, and quietly panicked. This wasn't just another murder. This was a pressure cooker. Morales replayed the voicemail recovered from Rob's shattered phone. It had been left hours before their deaths, barely audible under the hum of a car engine. Rob's voice sounded strained, unfamiliar. He's not himself. Something's wrong. If this gets worse, we'll handle it tomorrow. Tomorrow never came. Nick Reiner's alibi unraveled faster than expected. He claimed he went straight home after the party, ordering food and staying in all night. But delivery records showed the order was placed, then canceled. Cell phone data put his phone near his parents' neighborhood just after 1:30 a.m., then offline for nearly 2 hours. When it came back online, it pinged miles away. Nick said his phone battery died. Morales didn't argue. She didn't have to. Investigators began piecing together what led to the argument at the party. Witnesses described Rob confronting Nick about money, large transfers made quietly over months. Not loans, not gifts, payments. When detectives subpoenaed bank records, they found something worse. The money wasn't going to rent or medical bills. It was disappearing into offshore accounts, shell companies, and cash withdrawals spaced too evenly to be random. Someone had been feeding an addiction or funding a secret. Friends close to the family spoke cautiously. They described Nick as brilliant but volatile, someone who oscillated between charm and isolation. Recently, he had been desperate, calling relatives late at night, asking for help, then lashing out when questioned. Rob, ever the fixer, had tried to keep it quiet, protect the family, protect the name. But protection can turn into pressure. Inside the Reiner home, forensic analysts uncovered signs of a struggle that had been deliberately minimized. Furniture nudged back into place, a vase cleaned but chipped at the base. In the kitchen trash, gloves, thin, disposable, stained with diluted blood. Whoever did this hadn't planned the murder, but they had planned the aftermath. Morales interviewed Nick again that afternoon. He looked hollow now, eyes ringed with exhaustion. He denied returning to the house, denied any threats, denied everything except the argument. Then Morales slid a photograph across the table, a security still from a neighbor's camera, grainy, dark, a figure in a hood standing at the Reiner gate at 1:47 a.m. The posture was unmistakable, the walk familiar. Nick stared at it too long. "That could be anyone," he said. Morales leaned back. "You're right," she replied. "It could be." As the interview ended, an officer rushed in with new information. The offshore accounts tied to Nick had been emptied overnight, every dollar gone. The withdrawals had begun just minutes after Rob and Michele were believed to have died. Someone wasn't just running from grief, they were running from consequences. And as night fell again over Los Angeles, Morales realized the most dangerous part of the case was no longer behind them. It was still moving. The arrest came just after midnight. Nick Reiner didn't run. When detectives arrived at the rental house overlooking the Pacific, he opened the door slowly, as if he'd been expecting them. No weapon was found on him, no blood, just a man who looked like he hadn't slept since the party, since the argument, since everything slipped out of control. The media called it immediate justice, a tragic story with a neat ending. Son argues with parents, son spirals, son arrested. Detective Morales wasn't convinced. Inside the interrogation room, Nick finally stopped denying the obvious truths. Yes, he was desperate. Yes, the money was real. Yes, he had gone back to his parents' house that night. But when Morales pressed him on the moment that mattered, the moment the house turned deadly, his story fractured in an unexpected way. "They were already gone," Nick said quietly. "I swear to you." According to him, he returned to apologize, to beg, to fix what had broken at the party. The front gate was unlocked. The house was dark. Inside, he found the silence first, then the bodies. Panic took over. He touched things he shouldn't have, cleaned what he thought might protect him. Then he left. Morales had heard lies dressed up as grief before, but this one didn't sit right. The autopsy results complicated everything. Time of death placed Rob and Michele's murders earlier than investigators first believed, nearly an hour before Nick's phone pinged near the house. The wounds were precise, controlled, not the chaos of a family argument gone too far. Then came the final report. The gloves found in the kitchen trash didn't belong to Nick. The DNA was partial, degraded, but it didn't match him. It matched no one in the system. Behind the scenes, prosecutors hesitated. Publicly, they moved forward anyway. The pressure was immense. The story demanded a villain, and the world had already chosen one. Nick was charged. Cameras captured his blank stare as he was led away. The headline wrote itself. But Detective Morales kept digging. She uncovered a sealed civil dispute tied to Rob's finances, buried under layers of legal confidentiality. A failed investment, a partner with everything to lose, a partner who knew the house, the routines, the security code, a partner who was at the same party and left earlier than anyone noticed. When Morales brought the evidence forward, it stalled. Witnesses recanted, records vanished. The offshore accounts were traced not as motive, but as leverage, blackmail, a family already under siege before the first siren ever sounded. Nick's trial never reached a verdict. The charges were quietly dropped months later, citing insufficient evidence. No apology followed, no correction dominated the news cycle. By then, the public had moved on. The case was officially closed. Unofficially, it never was. The unknown DNA remains unidentified. The partner was never charged, and the last message on Rob's phone about someone coming back that night still sits in evidence, unanswered. Sometimes justice doesn't fail loudly. Sometimes it just fades into silence. And if this story shook you, stay close, because the next one cuts even deeper.